Hello everyone, welcome to the Style That Binds Us YouTube channel. Delia Folk and Alison Broom here, the mother-daughter duo, and we are giving you the inside scoop, a look behind the curtain into the fashion industry and how I got my internship at Versace, and which of course led to the job at Barneys and getting into the fashion industry. So when people hear that you work in fashion, that is it seems like a very glamorous thing. And so there are a lot of things about working in fashion that are not so glamorous. And so somehow I came up with this concept of moving to New York and working with fashion and working in fashion. And so I had no connections. I didn't know anyone in the industry. I'd been to New York one time in my life. So I don't even know. Yeah, so I don't know how all of that came about, but how in the world was I going to get into the industry? So we had to do a lot of networking. Thankfully, there was one person who worked in fashion that kind of gave me a roadmap of how to get into the industry. And we have something on the Style That Binds Us website under Style Tools. I have a whole guide of how I got into the industry, and I've done a bunch of blog posts about it too that I can put in the description. So today we're giving you an inside scoop into how Delia got her internship and how this one became basically a stage mom.
Yes. Nothing I ever expected, but it's really, we look back on it all the time and we get a good laugh, but it was very exciting. But Delia went to school at the College of William and Mary, and it's not an easy school to attend. You know, it's for really smart people. So she was working very hard, and she knew that she wanted to be in fashion in New York, and the college doesn't have a lot of people who that's their goal, to work in fashion. They're more in business and in other pursuits, economics and stuff. So it was up to us to go and make connections. Basically, it was up to Delia. So Delia I loved New York, and my aunt and uncle lived there, so we had a place to stay. So whenever she had a little free time, or certainly during a spring break or anything like that, we would meet in New York. I would get to see her and also help her, because I didn't realize, I just forgot you'd only been there that one other time, but you know, in order to find your way around, how to use the bus system or the subway, or if you're going to take taxis, how do you begin all of that. Was Uber even a thing then? I feel like Uber was maybe just starting. I have no idea, but anyway,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But so Delia printed out all of her resumes, which I think maybe I'll call them CVs now. I can't even remember, but she had her pad or her binder type situation with a bunch of resumes in it, and she set up all these appointments to go and drop off her resume, and she had appointments to sit down and talk to people there. And this one time that I always laugh about, when I started feeling like the stage mom, it was really snowing and it was really cold, and a lot of these offices, like say Dior, are upstairs from the flagship boutique or whatever. So if you walk in there with your hat on and your big puffy coat and your big boots and everything, it's not a very glamorous first impression. So this one time, and I think it was Dior, I'm not sure, but Delia always knew she wanted to be in luxury fashion. So the places where she was going to give her resume, you know, you really needed to look your best. So it was at the Trump Tower. I was upstairs. There's a Starbucks up there right by those escalators that go down. And then there's that big clock that is also a window that you can look out. So she took off her coat. She had these big snow boots on. She took off her snow boots on. She put on her heels. She just basically took off her coat altogether. Scarf, hat, anything like that. And she was in her black, networking interview dress and the right heels. She brushed her hair, put on her lipstick, bye, and then she'd run out the door, go down the escalator, and into Dior across the street she went. That one time, though, that was really funny was when she went into Dior, she was wearing some Chanel pumps, which we didn't think about until, was it like the doorman? The doorman said, I see you have your resume. If you think you want to apply for a job here, you might not want to wear Chanel pumps. So back across the street, what do we do now? I can't even remember what we did about that. Maybe we need to put on my shoes. We switched shoes, something like that. But anyway, you know, all these kind of zany things. And at that point, we had probably done this 4 times around the city by then, and I remember thinking, I'm actually like a stage mom. I'm giving my day to go around to these different places with my daughter, and she would be taking on and off all of these clothes and handing them to me, and I'd be like, go get them, and off she would go, and then come back and report what happened and everything. It was really, really funny. Usually, I'm not sure that people, you know, enlist their mom to be a part of the process. I certainly didn't have anything to do with the interviews. But that was one story, the day when it was so snowy.
Yes, and we had a shopping bag, and the bag completely fell apart at one point because it was so wet. So I don't remember what we did about figuring out where to store whatever was in there. But what I did was I basically went through a couple magazines, and I came up with all the companies where I would want to work. And so we said, okay, well, how are we supposed to get in touch with these companies besides LinkedIn? What if we just, you know, walk up and down Madison Avenue and go to the store and drop off the resume and say, if you're looking for any interns for the summer, let us know. So
let you know.
Yeah, so here we go, walking up and down Madison Avenue, going in and out all the stores, and for somehow, Mom literally bought something at every store, which of course her argument was, well, that's going to be helpful.
Well, that's why I did it. And I bought the least expensive thing they would have.
Yes, and we still have those pieces today and treasure them, and it brings
Which
us
is hilarious.
back
I still
every
wear the
time.
Fendi watch. I still have the Gucci wallet. I still have the Prada leather bracelet up and down Madison. While she went up, I engaged the people that worked there and told them about Delia and everything. And this was before the Style That Binds Us, you know, years before we had any idea we would ever work together. But yeah, by the end of the day, Delia's like, something doesn't feel quite right about this. You ended up with all this
Right.
stuff. I ended up with nothing.
Oh my goodness.
But we've shared the things. But anyway, yeah, those were some fun times.
They really were. And so one thing that we had been talking about before that we would suggest to you is to make sure you have options. I mean, of course, you know, you have a goal and you go after that. I guess you could only go and have one interview for an internship, but in the end, with mine, I had like 7 interviews throughout the week and had a couple of offers, and I got
like
to choose.
4 to choose from. And that was, it was like, you know, one of them they were all great brands. One of them is actually based in LA, or it still is, maybe, or it was at the time. Tom Ford, I can't remember. But anyway, so she decided that office was really small, so she might not learn as much there. And then, like, Tory Burch would be an incredible internship, and it was actually paid, I think, but it was in such a big company. They really wanted to be, you know, in a small luxury brand. So she ended up with Versace, which was really cute. The cute stories about that are, there's so many of those too. But one day she said, these people yell all the time, and I'm not a yeller. I never have been. I don't, you know, I'm just, probably it'd be a good thing if I did scream out and yell every once in a while, but she wasn't used to everybody yelling. And I was like, oh my gosh, are they mad all the time? She's like, no, I think it's because they're Italians. So they're just yelling over each other and interrupting each other, and you know, this it just cracked me up to think about this boisterous atmosphere, you know, in which you worked. And then you loved that when you came in the back door, what was that guy called? You know, the employees come in the back door because their offices were up above the Versace store as well. So they come in the back, and there's a guy that, you know, makes sure I guess you check in with him every day.
Security guard.
It's like a security guard. And he loved Delia, and Delia loved him, and that was really fun. And then you got to dress the male Brazilian models. That's hysterical.
That was very fun. And do you have any tips for internship interviews?
Well, I feel like most of that would come from you, having gone through them yourself. But
style.
Yeah. But I definitely think that, you know, you need to look your best. And maybe if it is depending on what position you want, you need to think about what you're wearing. But I've heard of a lot of people that talked about they put on their, what they thought was their most fashion forward, cool, edgy look to go, let's say, to interview at Vogue. And, you know, the people were like, what is she wearing, you know? But we know like Anna Wintour loves color, so maybe you would wear something, you know, bright with a you know, a pop of color. But the main thing is to think it through, especially if you're coming up quickly from college, you know, put on, do you feel like people need an interview dress? Do you feel like the little black dress type look works across the board pretty much?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I remember too when Delia started, when she started her major, when you pick your major in the business school at William & Mary, you have to be accepted into that major. And then the very first week, a professor said, raise your hand if you have less than 500 connections on LinkedIn. And this was maybe sophomore year, junior, I can't remember what year. And of course, not that many people raised their hands. And then he said, okay, raise your hand if you have started working on your interview attire, wardrobe basically. And hardly anybody raised their hands either. And so he said, you all have a lot to do to catch up. So in a lot of other schools, people graduate, they still hadn't started connecting on LinkedIn. But our advice for sure is, and me too as a professional still, we're still connecting with people on LinkedIn all the time. You can message people. It's a great way to get around sending some, you know, mass email to the human resources department or whatever that just gets lost. But yeah, nice pair of shoes, a dress that fits well. If you find a dress, you know, the fit makes a difference. If it's too tight, if it's too big, if it fits down here but it's too big up here, you know, go to the dry cleaners in your college town somewhere. Find an alterations person that can tweak it so that it really looks polished, especially if you're gonna be in the fashion industry. Make sure your nails are done. They don't even have to be painted if you don't want them to be painted, but they need to be in very good condition. You know, no cuticles torn or ripped, or, you know, nails that are bitten off or different lengths and everything. It's just, that is not the look. This is an example that I always think about. So you have two interviews. You are the one interviewing the person. One person comes in, she's cute as can be, but she has her hands full of like her big folder, and, you know, she's pulling down her dress, and she's maybe got some coffee that they gave her in the lobby, and it kind of spills a little bit. She's like, oh, sorry, hey, how are you? You know, and she sits down and she's fidgeting with her dress, and then what that portrays, what that tells the person on the other side of the desk is, wow, she is sweet and cute, but I do not need her helping me stay organized. But if you come in and, you know, your dress fits well, it's not too tight, your nails look, they're in good shape, your skin is in good shape, you have on enough makeup but not too much, your hair looks nice. In other words, nothing distracting, nothing too big, nothing too bright, but all of it polished. And then you come in and you look them in the eye and you give them a handshake if they, well, maybe they're not going to do that anymore, but whatever it is, and sit down and use good posture. Put your hands in your lap so you don't fidget with them, and relax. Because if you're not relaxed, this is like from the book Presence, the Presence that I just read, the Presence book with Amy Cuddy. What happens when you are nervous is, instead of thinking about what the person is saying to you, you're thinking like, do I have something in my teeth? Does she not like my hair? Does she think I'm not right for the job? What if I can't remember what she's going to ask me? And your brain is just, whoa, out here. You are not present in the interview. But if you go into the interview and you are concentrating on what you have to offer about yourself and selling yourself, and shut off those voices that are distracting you, because you'll never win an interview that way. Because you'll be, I mean, I've watched on camera before myself when I make these videos. If someone sent us a dress one time that I was on camera talking about, but it was a little tight through here, and you can just tell the whole time I'm trying to stand the right way, and I'm kind of doing this, and, you know, it's not as good a video because I am not comfortable in my skin. So go in, certainly don't hunch over and don't fidget. Go in, answer the questions, smile. Don't ever say, what can you do for me? You know, that is not what an interview is for. And there's another video, you can listen to our podcast interview with Elisa Litt. She wrote a book about Make Your Mark. It's a great book when you were thinking about starting to interview and go out for your first career. And she talks about all of it. And certainly don't ever have your mother call and say, how'd she do? Or we haven't heard anything. You know, those kind of things are a complete no-no. So any other things?
I think her book is called Leave Your Mark.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe.
Sorry, Lisa. Yeah, Leave Your Mark.
But the mindset that I went in with was, this is a nice opportunity to get to learn about another company, and regardless, it's an interview on my end as well. I mean, I want to know, what's the culture? Do you like it? What are the responsibilities of the role I'm interviewing for? Do you like your job? What is the team dynamic? All of that. So if you have that mindset of it is a fun and interesting opportunity for me to learn things, versus, oh, I'm so stressed, everything is right. If I don't get this interview, my life is over. Then obviously you're going to come in with two totally different thought processes. And then I always had questions, which I think both of the Barneys bosses loved. And I think Bettina asked me if I had been in pageants, because somehow I know how to smile when I talk. And so
you went through the interview, she called me and she's like, I don't know if I got it or not, but they asked me if I had ever been in pageants. Why do you think they asked me that? Which I thought was hysterical, because especially at Barneys, it's not a place with a bunch of pageant girls. For sure. It was super cool, super chic, super understated, very much the it girls. And, I think someone from the South coming in with a big smile on her face, hi, but not being like nervous and hi,
Yeah.
You just came in like, I'm here, hello. And they just were delighted by that, I think. So that's a great thing. The hardest thing to do is the most important, and that is just get out of your head, go in. And the truth is, if you don't get that interview, it's like anything else in life. Now I know, and I'm so glad I know this, and I can keep telling you and everybody younger, when things like that, when that house that you wanted falls through, when the boy falls through, when the girl falls through, or the job falls through, later on you're going to be on your knees going, thank you God I didn't get that job, because I got this one. This is what you were wanting me to have. And that is over and over again what happens. It's a remarkable thing. You just have to trust. Okay. And Delia, even like with the college, oh, well, I didn't get that one. That's the one I'd hoped for, but that's okay. That just means this is the one that's going to be right for me. I've always been really excited that you just sort of instinctively understood that, because there's a lot of heartbreak that is unnecessary.
That's true. And we read the book by Todd Herman, Alter Ego. We can put a link in the description. And we have both created alter ego. So that is how you get out of your head. You just embody that perfect person.
For example, it's the example that we always talk about is, so Beyonce grew up singing in church, and she's from a religious family. And then when she became Beyonce, and when she joined the group, what was
Destiny's Child.
Destiny's Child, and they were dancing in a very provocative way. She was really uncomfortable about that, because her whole life she had been told, that's not what you do. So she couldn't do it. She could not get there until she created the Fierce part.
Sasha
Fierce. So when she was and now when she's going on, stage in front of millions of people, Beyonce's back there, Sasha Fierce walks onto the stage, and the crowd goes wild. So if you don't have the courage to do it yourself, whatever it is, just say, okay, now I am. You'll have to read the book to figure out, to create your alter ego persona that can help you get through situations like that. A lot of athletes use this technique too.
Yeah.
Pro athletes.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Style That Binds Us YouTube channel. We hope you enjoyed this video. As always, like the video, make comments, let us know what you want to see more from us. If you have other questions about how to get into the fashion industry or want us to continue to pull back that curtain so that it's not just all the glitz and glamour that it may seem. And of course, subscribe to the Style That Binds Us YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date on the latest and greatest from this mother-daughter duo. Subscribe. We have the Style That Binds Us podcast, and that can be found in any place where you listen to your favorite podcasts, and that is a lot of interviews, and then sometimes Mom and I will chat ourselves on a topic.
And Elisa Litt's podcast interview with us is there, and she really does give great tips about leaving your mark and getting that great job that you're hoping to get. So, among many other fun podcasts. Alrighty, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.